So today's hot take: business English is not about meetings. Shocking, right? Apparently, your students don't spend their entire careers presenting pie charts, negotiating like they're in suits. Instead, they're out there fumbling through how was your weekend and trying not to sound like a malfunctioning robot when they're making small talk on the Zoom because they accidentally clicked the link too soon and now they have 5 minutes until the meeting starts. And yet, we keep designing lessons as if their only job is to survive quarterly review with perfect grammar. Spoiler, that's not where the magic happens.
Hey there, it's Kelly, and if you're here for miracle fixes, shiny classroom hacks, or whatever today's buzzword is trending, yeah, not gonna happen. What you will get is real talk about English teaching, teacher training, and the chaos we actually deal with in ELT. So let's get into it.
So here's the thing: business English materials are obsessed with big events, right? Like the presentations, the pitches, the deals. And all of that is very important. And I'm not saying that we can eliminate that. However, what about those little gluey moments that happen? I'm talking about hallway chats, Slack pings, the random 2 minutes before everyone awkwardly says, "So, shall we start?" in those Zoom calls. Like, these are the moments where the connections happen, or they don't. And the irony, they almost never make it into the course book. And if you've taught Unit 7 negotiating a contract, but your learner freezes when someone's asked, like, how's it going? That's a problem. So we have to start thinking about, as business English professionals, we've got to start thinking about what's going to get my student to the next stage in their career, not just those big events that happen, not just perfect grammar. Like, what else needs to happen in our classroom? And I'm going to tell you why I think relationship building matters. Because if we zoom out, why should you, as a business English teacher, actually care about any of this? Because those so called fluffy moments are career currency. They're the difference between being remembered after a meeting, being trusted enough to lead a project, or actually landing that sale. I've spent a long time doing this, and I've seen it in consulting in Europe, Latin America, the professionals who win big. I'm talking about, a student of mine told me this morning that he's getting a multi-million dollar contract for 5 years of work. He's getting millions. I mean, millions. Those types of students don't just deliver data perfectly. They're the ones that build rapport in those in between moments. Everyone knows this guy's name in his industry. And that's why, here's the kicker: relationship building is not fluff, it's a skill. Tone, pacing, register, curiosity, exit strategies, that's all language work and it belongs in our classrooms. The shift in designing the lessons, it needs to be like this: get the stale out of your brain a little bit and start seeing how the modern world works a little bit. Let me tell you where this clicked for me first. I stopped asking, what do they need to say? And I started asking, who are they trying to be in English? I actually got this from listening to Atomic Habits, the book, the ebook. I was listening to the audiobook. And that's the golden question: who are they trying to be in English? The habits thing was completely unrelated. Well, it's not unrelated, it's tangential, because then I went off on a completely different they said one thing about like becoming are modeling the behavior of the habit holder that you're trying to emulate. And then I thought to myself, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that. I'm going to try and figure out what my students are trying to emulate. So, anyways, okay, back to this. So this is the golden question, right? Because it's not just about vocabulary or phrasal verbs. It's about identity. Like, who wants to sound approachable? Who wants to sound confident? Who wants to sound friendly but professional at the same time? And what that really shapes what the language choice is. And then that's where you get to step in, because once we reframe what we say, lesson planning becomes less about all the functions and it becomes more about, and I know we all hate this word, but it's kind of like coaching presence through language. So, how do we do small talk without the cringe? Because actually, I am like, how do I describe myself? Well, crazy, first of all. Second, I think I would classify myself, if I had to, as a friendly introvert. Like, I'm very okay in social situations, depending on the people, you know what I mean? Good with social situations. I can handle small talk. I can handle like parties and stuff. I really don't like to be around a lot of people. In a scenario, I can present to a lot of people because I did it since I was like 18. I was presenting to like 300 people. So like I'm good with like big audiences, but like the mingling part where there's like a lot of people talking to you, it's a bit much for me. It kind of sucks my energy out. However, because it does like drain my energy, I've figured out ways of linguistically kind of like managing scenarios. And of course, it does matter who I'm talking to, because for the most part, if it's in the world of education, well, there's clearly teams in education, but we're talking about regular stuff, business people, like that type of thing. Oof, I love it. Anyways, all right, so let's talk about small talk because again, ugh, can be cringy, can be cringy. And there's a lot of teachers that are very cringy at small talk too. Very awkward. Anyways, so everybody hates teaching small talk. Your students hate practicing it because they think the role plays are like weird and cringy. But we can fix that. So here's what's worked in some of my sessions. Instead of this dead, like, how was your weekend question, which I still ask sometimes, but if you don't necessarily have to ask that, you can practice tone, pacing, so it doesn't sound like an interrogation. Because sometimes people are just like, how was your weekend? Jesus. It's brutal. Okay. Then you can work on curiosity without being invasive, right? Because sometimes it's like, that sounds interesting. How did you get into that? Or, wow, that sounds interesting. How did you get into that? It's subtle, but you got to work on it. Sometimes the delivery is not great, right? You know what I mean? Okay, personal favorite. So like I play with things like that, like trying to get people to recognize how they come off, because a lot of times when you say something, you're not really registering how it's being interpreted by other people. Okay, personal favorite. Teaching students how to exit conversations gracefully. Something I actually struggled with as like a human. And then I was like, oh, other people probably, especially language learners, probably struggle with this also. So instead, we can try something like this. Like, anyway, I'll let you run. It was good to see you. You know what I mean? Like these kind of polite, warm, doesn't feel like a networking event in 2001 type of thing. It's not, these things are not filler, because these are really genuine interactions and they create a human connection, and a lot of business is done and it's relationship based. So okay, another thing that students usually need to work on: email sign-offs. They're just like this battlefield nowadays because everything is being perceived as passive aggressive. I just left it because I'm whatever. I'm just leaving mine as is, even though technically it's supposedly passive aggressive. But we'll just leave it at one word. Anyways, so let's not forget that written communication, emails are relationship gold mines or graveyards. Emails are horrible. Oh, they're so challenging to navigate. So, case in point, best regards supposedly is harmless, except it kind of comes off as like stiff and cold, or even I put like best comma. I guess apparently the internet has voted and deemed best comma Kelly would be passive aggressive. I'm leaving it because if you know me and I'm sending you an email, you know that that is not passive aggressive. It's just like deuces, but whatever. Yeah, people read into these things. If I were in a business relationship with people, I think I probably maybe might change it. Might, I don't know. So we can swap things out, like depending on the level of friendliness or relationship you have. Speak soon, looking forward to it, looking forward to talking to you soon. Suddenly it sounds like a little bit more human as opposed to like a ChatGPT version of it. But yes, I've literally built entire lessons around email sign-offs and depending on different relationships, and like, let's talk about it. Guess what? Students love it because they can actually see the difference immediately in their work lives. It's like, okay, this person thinks I'm a jerk and I don't know what I did. Well, let's see how you're communicating with them because that is going to be very telling.
Real quick before we get back into it, I've got some free goodies for teachers waiting for you. Think big wins and things you can use right away. Grab them at the link to my site below, and let's dive right back in.
Okay, so then we have like multicultural remote context, right? Because now business is even kind of it's like critical at this point. We've got multicultural remote teams, people connecting from everywhere. Connection doesn't just like happen. Like, oh, we work together, so immediately we have a connection. Like, no, it needs to be engineered. I know that sounds cold, but it's true. So get over it and let's move on. Your learners might need to start dealing with clients across like time zones. I work across time zones, flippin' nightmare. And you don't share cultural references, humor, or even expectations of formality. That is clear when you start going international and working with teams abroad. And if they can't manage these micro interactions, they may risk becoming invisible, and then they're not going to get promoted. They're not going to be project leads. They're not going to take charge of a team. They're not going to be stepping into those roles that they probably want to step into. So when you teach them how to open, sustain, and exit conversations naturally, you're not teaching English, you're teaching them career survival skills. Okay, practical takeaways, because otherwise I'll just start ranting about this and I'll give you all sorts of examples, and I don't know if I can keep people's names out of it, so best not. Here we go. Practical takeaways for you teachers. All right. Uh, landing the plane, I promise. Some ready takeaways that you can use in your classroom. So audit your syllabus. First things first, take a look, and if it's all about like presenting data, negotiating contracts, add something about relationship building. If you've got like grammar, vocabulary, functions, task-based learning, and it's just like the language, okay, you gotta step back and see in reality they have to build relationships. A lot of my higher level like executive level students are actually people who are very proficient and competent in the language, but they lack confidence in being able to develop their ideas, explain things. And most of our lessons are all about kind of these little okay, I understand what you said, but you should probably say it this way. Oh, we don't say it like that. Use this phrase. And that's a lot of what we do because it's all about how people are interpreting them and making sure that they have the executive presence that they need to have and that they're not damaging their reputation within the company. Okay, hang on. Back to the practical takeaways. So, one, audit your syllabus. Make sure you got things in there that are important to keep in there. Two, rehearse tone. It's not just words, it's not just grammar. Like, how is it being delivered? how are they like saying these things? Get your learners to practice intonation, pacing, and small talk, making sure they're not cutting people off. This is a problem of mine. I cut people off constantly. I think I have a issue. I know that I know I have issues, but I think like I just think really fast and then I end up cutting people off and then it sounds like I'm rude and I don't want to be rude and then I apologize and then it's like a whole thing. It's like an issue that I have. So I know that other people have it because I cannot be the only one. If your brain works really fast, my brain works really fast and I make lots of good and I get so excited, I end up cutting people off, but I know that in the end, people probably perceive that as being rude because I'm talking over them, but I'm just really excited and engaged with what the conversation is. So, personal point, I know I'm taking it to therapy. I'm going to work on it. Fine. This is my therapy too, by the way. This is so talking to the screen. 3, teach curiosity formulas. So give them language like, oh, that's interesting. How did you get started with that? So like teach them these kind of formulaic things that engage with people and show interest in other people's lives, because the best way to build a relationship is starting to talk about the other person before you give them any personal information about yourself. So 4, don't skip exits. You have to role play ending conversations so they don't linger. It's awkward. It's super weird. I at teaching conferences, I tend to do this. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I'm not trying to set anybody up, but I'm just interested in how people interact with each other. And sometimes you just kind of let the conversation like trickle out. And even English teachers are not really good at ending conversations. So we need to start working on exits. And 5, the last one, emails count too. Not only emails, but I'm talking written communication. So sign-offs, greetings, Slack messages, all of those language moments without delivery, can be misconstrued, misinterpreted. So we need to start dissecting those moments as well. It's not only about only oral communication. We have to look at written communication too, because trust me, these tweaks don't replace your serious business English curriculum. They actually enhance it. I promise. Students will thank you. So here's the takeaway. If your business English course only preps people for high stakes moments, that you're missing kind of the glue, that the relationship building, the messy stuff that they probably need. We need to teach in the in-between as well, because that's where we build trust, that's where deals are made, and that's where careers actually move forward. And honestly, that's way more interesting than another fake role play about a negotiation, shipping delays, whatever you want to do. So that's your challenge. Go design for connection, not just correction.
That's it for today. If you want more, I've got binge-worthy playlists right here on the channel. You can also grab some resources at kellypenningtonelt.com, Instagram at kellypenningtonelt, and yes, even LinkedIn, where I do my best impression of being professional. Links below. See you in the next one.